Princess Arya of Lysandra lived in a kingdom known for its majesty and ancient nobility. Every lord and knight in the realm spoke with flawless diction, as if their words were polished jewels. But Arya felt different. She had a guardian who adored her, but even he could not protect her from the nostalgia she felt for simpler days, before people whispered like she was a celebrity who failed to meet their expectations. Her status demanded perfection, yet her background held a secret. Arya struggled with language. She mixed symbols in her writing, confused vowels with consonants, and once, during a royal ceremony, forgot the entire alphabet in front of the cathedral crowd. Some said it was a tragic anecdote. Others called it an embarrassing accident. To her, it felt like an incident that shattered her confidence. Still, something inside her longed to thrive despite the setbacks and adversity that shadowed her youth. One autumn morning, a wandering scholar arrived at the palace. He introduced himself as Soren, a man who studied linguistics, phonetics, syntax, semantics, and every grammar tradition across the continent. He observed Arya carefully. "Your problem is not your mind," he said gently, "but the symbols and systems forced upon you." He taught her about the origins of language, how ancient tribes carved pictographs into stone, how a wedge in clay became the earliest script, how a knot tied on a rope could record an entire story. He invited Arya to gesture freely rather than obsess over handwriting. He spoke of oral traditions, verbal histories, and the power of utterance long before books existed. For the first time, she felt safe enough to explore the root of her struggle. Soren transformed the palace courtyard into a sanctuary of learning. He assigned Arya simple tasks: identify each phoneme, pronounce difficult clusters, experiment with intonation and inflection, compare dialects, and listen to different accents. "What you call a flaw," he said, "is simply a unique expression of your mind." He showed her how a logogram represented whole ideas, how a syllable formed a rhythm, how a phrase could express emotion more deeply than grammar alone. Arya began to understand herself. Her fear slowly loosened, like a knot untied after years of tension. Every spring, the empire held a grand festival of expression. Citizens displayed languages from distant regions, logograms from the north, oral chants from the coast, clauses sung in harmony by mountain tribes. Arya insisted on joining. People doubted her. They expected the prosperous princess to shine effortlessly, yet whispered that another setback would ruin the royal family's image. But adversity had carved strength in her. She prepared a story, not written, not memorized, but spoken from the heart. When she stepped onto the stage, her voice trembled, then steadied, then blossomed. She shared an anecdote about her failures, using idioms and expressions with surprising elegance. She explained the difference between a prefix and suffix, amused the crowd with synonym games, and even made children laugh with antonym riddles. The kingdom fell silent, then erupted in applause. For the first time, Arya didn't feel like royalty judged for status. She felt human, expressive, alive. But celebration was short-lived. That night, Soren revealed a truth. The empire carried an old curse known as the shadow consonant. Long ago, a verbal misunderstanding between kingdoms sparked wars. A single mispronounced syllable led to tragedy. Since then, the empire feared linguistic chaos. Documents were strictly regulated, accents suppressed, dialects discouraged, languages erased to maintain unity. Simplicity brought prosperity, Soren said, but at the cost of expression. Arya realized the adversity she had faced was not personal, it was systemic. Her struggle echoed the empire's hidden wound. Determined to free her people from linguistic fear, Arya traveled with Soren to the Tower of Roots, a forgotten archive where thousands of symbols, scripts, and languages had been sealed away. Inside, she saw alphabets carved in gold, pictographs etched on walls, knots tied with meanings lost to time, utterances preserved in enchanted crystal. Each artifact whispered stories, but at the tower's core was a single scroll, said to contain the original language of humanity, a language with no prefixes, suffixes, or abbreviations, a language where every noun, every verb, every singular thought held pure meaning. To unlock it, one needed courage. Arya stepped forward. The scroll glowed. Her heart pounded. She read the first phrase aloud, carefully pronouncing every phoneme, balancing every syllable, letting the intonation rise like dawn. A warm wave spread across the empire. Suddenly, languages once forbidden began to resurface. Dialects returned, accents flourished, songs revived. People expressed joy, grief, poetry, identity, all without fear. The shadow consonant dissolved. The empire finally breathed. Arya collapsed in tears, not from exhaustion, but relief. Soren placed a steady hand on her shoulder. You have given the world its voice back. Years later, Arya no longer cared whether people saw her as a princess, a celebrity, or a noble figure of majesty. She had become something greater, a guardian of languages, a champion of expression, a symbol of resilience. Her story traveled across kingdoms as a celebrated experience, once an incident of embarrassment, now a testament of thriving through adversity. Villagers told her tale to children. Scholars studied her linguistics journey. Poets wrote idioms inspired by her courage. And every spring, during the Festival of Expression, she stood before the crowd, not as royalty, but as a woman who embraced every vowel, consonant, utterance, and word that shaped her life. Her language had changed the world, and in return, the world finally learned how to speak.